to Southeast News on Signature TV. I am Barry Kumo Ado. Let's go straight to the stories, and let's start from Ebonyi State, where a federal high court sitting in Abakaliki on Monday nullified all the congresses conducted by the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The notification affected the ward, local government and state congresses held by the party. Signature TV gathered that the court, in its judgment in the suit numbered FHC/AI/CS 183/2024 between Nena Linda O'Day and 12 others, PDP and others, are notified the congresses for being unconstitutional. The court also restrained INEC, which was the second defendant in the suit, from recognizing any of the officers purportedly elected from a nullified congresses for any purposes whatsoever. We're still in Ebonyi State, where operatives of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, have intercepted a truck loaded with items suspected to be petroleum products. Two persons linked to the deal were reportedly arrested in the process of discharging the petroleum products into 3 GP surface tanks before men of the NSCDC arrived. The unusual packing of a 45,000 litres truck at a residential area in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, has raised suspicion among residents who alerted the NSCDC monitoring team. Parading the suspects, the Ebonyi State Commandant of the NSCDC, Francis Nadi, said that the command acted on timely intelligence and caught the suspects at a densely populated residential area. Nadi was in office barely a fortnight ago, is worried about the safety and risk associated with an alleged plot by the suspect to discharge the product into 3 separate GT tanks found at the location.
Based on intelligence, my men were able to arrest a truck probably carrying about 45,000 litres of suspected, diverted, I would say stolen now, product located within a densely populated area in Abakaliki, which is against the norm of movement of petroleum products. Of course, we all know the risk during this period that the weather is getting for the fire and everything. And then we now realized there was a place where we found about 3 or 4 GP tanks with a few products by the side, where they intended to actually offload these products. But as it stands now, it's still suspected to be this. I can't really say which of the products it is or which of the byproducts it is. But I can assure you that the investigation will reveal such. And at the end of the day, after due investigation, they will have their day in appropriate court of competent jurisdiction.
The suspects, identified as Patrick Peter and Jeremiah Ogbo, were said to be the site engineer at the location where the petroleum product was to be dumped, claimed that they have no knowledge of the actual job they were contracted to execute. The NSCDC has sealed the site where the petroleum product was to be supplied, confiscated the GP tanks until the real owners of the property are identified. Now to Abia State, where the government says it is now an offense for parents in the state not to send their children and wards to school starting from January 1, 2025. Commissioner for Information, OK Kano, disclosed this at Government House Umahia on Monday, while briefing journalists on the outcome of this week's State Executive Council meeting presided over by Governor Alex Oti. Kano, who said that the decision was part of the ongoing reforms in the educational sector of the state, stated that the issue of poverty is no longer a reason for non-acquisition of free and basic education in the state. He stressed the need for parents to take advantage of a tuition-free policy in the state to send their children and wards to school, warning that the faulting parents were prosecuted in line with the Abia State Child's Law 2006. He also stated that education is free in the state up to the end of junior secondary school. Commissioner reiterated that a relocation order of the Umuahia campus of the Abia State University to the mother campus at Uturu remained irreversible, but assured all affected stakeholders that the fears and anxieties generated by the relocation order would be addressed. That's the news. We're taking a break now. When we return, we'll start our conversation. Stay with us to find out what's all about and who our guest is. The old Southeast region, or the present-day 5 states that make up the Southeast states, they all have what the average person would call potentials for growth, potentials for development. But when you look at what is on ground, you sometimes find it difficult to associate yourself with the old Eastern region. Where did we get it wrong? Are we missing the mark? Not yet, I'll say, because if you look at the economic blueprint of a different state, you would observe that there is a roadmap for growth, for development, and for turning around the Southeast to become what it is expected to be. For us on Southeast News, we always ask that question. What is it that we are not getting right and we need to sit down and get right? Because if you look at the other regions that make up Nigeria, some are growing far faster than the Southeast. Are we going to play catch up? No, we shouldn't. Because the Southeast, you have people who are born entrepreneurs, people who are born to innovate, people who are born to set the pace for others to follow. So, what can we do? How can we unlock the economic potential of the Southeast so that we can be always on top in terms of development and growth? The trajectory is there for us to choose. Are we ready to take the right steps? Don't bother. As usual, I'm not the one setting the pace. I have with me His Royal Highness Igwe Chijioke Nwobodo.
Sorry?
Ezeudo III. Ezeudo.
Yeah, good evening, my brother.
You didn't wait for me to finish introducing you, so I'd allow you to finish.
No, yeah, it was striking when you said Chijioke. I am Chinedu and not Chijioke.
Chinedu.
Yeah, you go Chinedu and Nwobodo. So I'm not Chijioke. I became moved. I wanted to let people catch
my apologies, and I concede to you.
Okay, so it's Chinedu. So thank you. Good evening, viewers. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are listening to us from. This is our Southeast. And I agree with you 100% that Igbo is really born to be great. But unfortunately, in the recent time, we abandoned who we are, trying to be like the other person. Like an individual, like individuals have their talents, they have what is deposited or are deposited in them to excel on, looking at the principle of comparative advantage. Where can you get it better than the other? So we have abandoned it. Everybody is wanting to go to Abuja to share from our Iwa. So, but of course, personally, I have always wanted, sorry, I don't know, but then, I have always wanted an ideological Biafra, not geographical Biafra. And what do I mean by an ideological Biafra? One man called Emefiele wrote a book in which he said, in Biafra, Africa died, which is obvious. And how do I mean? I had always preached that our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria. And how do I mean? We have a number of similarities and peculiarities that has the capacity to make us the Silicon Valley here in Nigeria. Take, for instance, what is that Silicon Valley? Why is it? What are they named after? These people are living within a geographical location where the primary materials for producing computer microprocessors, they capitalize on it to improve on their technology. They are named after that. Enugu State is known for coal. Our coal can give us anything. Aba is there. Aba can give us anything. Oka is there. Oka can give us anything. So what else are we like in the Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley is the technological hub. That is the global center for technological innovation. And that is what we can get in the Southeast. Our Aba, for example, has to effectively put Nigeria on the world map. Our Nnewi has the capacity to put Nigeria on the world map. Our nature has the capacity and of course placing Nigeria on the world map. Oka has the capacity to place Nigeria on the world map. Enugu here, Co-Camp here, has the capacity to place Nigeria on the world map. Let me tell you, there was a car I used in the past. A particular part of that car got damaged. We looked for it elsewhere, everywhere. We couldn't get that part, my brother. Well, the moment we took it to Co-Camp, one artisan there said, what is it? You've been walking around, you've packed your car for this. He constructed it with a better iron. And that part didn't damage again until I sold it. That is Co-Camp Enugu here for you. So, we should be the technological hub of Nigeria and of course the world. It's so important we think about that.
Yes.
So, what other nature do we have that makes Silicon Valley what it is? Silicon Valley has the nature of entrepreneur. The Igbo people are the entrepreneur. They will come to your community. And that is, of course, I even look at the problems of the Igbo man in Nigeria as envy. People envy us a lot. And that is the problem we have. And what makes it? It's our nature. Those things you don't know, their businesses in your place. The Igbo man comes there, assesses the environment, turn those things you think they were waste into business. Envy comes in. And Nigeria has that problem, wasting a lot of energy, wanting to keep the Igbo man far away. That should have been a solution. That is our nature. In Silicon Valley, they are the early adopters. They have the culture of early adopters. And that is the Igbo man from you. Oye feze lawyer. You see the Igbo man serve the wealthy elder brother or wealthy cousin or wealthy anybody just for you in turn to be settled. And eventually after 4, 5, 6 years of laboring for another person, you have started becoming rich yourself. This is our culture, and that is the culture of the Silicon Valley. So I see that if we get back, stop wasting our time wanting to be like the other person, look inward, introspection, we'll do better than where we are now.
A great way to move ahead, but that but has always been in my mouth, so let me say it.
Okay.
From the analogy you gave, it ordinarily would appear everything is working fine. But now that but, reality on ground does not tell that same story. But if you go back the ages, you'll discover that that was there. I recall on one of such programs during our conversations, we talked about using the proceeds from palm oil, the palm trees, to do so much for the Southeast, M.I. Okpara. But as different leaders came up, the palm tree has been abandoned. So many other things have been about. You talked about Newi putting us on the map of the world. Talk about Aba putting us on the map of the world. The issue is not the Silicon Valley or the Southeast being the hub. The issue appears to be harnessing that resource.
That is, you know, moderator, of course, I said this. We are wasting time abandoning the peculiarity of the Igbo man, trying to be like people from other tribes. Let me tell you, mentioned our father, M.I. Okpara. Today we have better educated persons, we have better empowered persons. But then our institutions are going back. Should our agriculture suffer when we have the University of Agriculture in Umudike? We have people who answer Greek engineers. But instead of spending more time on researches, we want to be richer than Mr. President. We want to be richer than Nigeria. Some of us, we are not putting to good use whatever little resources we have. By now, we should have improved seedlings of all kinds: palm fruit, palm nuts, cassava, pepper, cashew, guava, you know, all of those things. But we no longer do that. We have the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. The other time I saw the prototype of an electronic vehicle. What efforts have the political leaders made to make it commercialized? Must we wait for it to come from abroad when we have the capacity? I am telling you that the Igbo man naturally is technological. Let me tell you, if Biafra has succeeded, I don't know whether you were part of it. Those of us who were there witnessing it as younger people, we know what we went through. But I want to tell you, if Biafra had continued, by now we should have been exporting armament. These missiles we are talking about, it became prominent in Biafra, within Biafra, the Ogbunigwe. It should have been an international weaponry by now. I told you that Oka is capable of taking us to anywhere. What do you think that the Oka man cannot fabricate about gun? You move to Imo State or where? What do you think that the Nkwere man? We call them Nkwere Opiegbe. What is Egbe if not gone? We have the capacity to export those things we are importing. The Igbo man is technological, but we have abandoned who we are. We are talking now. You may also begin to ask me about the exclusive and concurrent list. Yes, we have an exclusive list, but today some of them have been put into the concurrent list. What have we done with the allocations we are getting to improve our tomorrow? Some people want to, you know, the major problem we have is not that those things are no longer there. Our major problem is that leaders see leadership as business. Leaders see leadership as job. And if somebody is applying for a job and he gets that job, he goes to make money from job. Leadership should be seen as service. And if you understand that leadership is service, that is when what Michael Okpara did will be done again. That is when what Nnamdi Azikiwe did would be replicated. Our political office holders today, we do respect to them. I'm sorry. I am becoming one of them, and because that is what they say. The Igbo's, but of course we should be apolitical in the sense that we should not be partisan. We should be people who say the truth at any point in time. Our political office holders see leadership as job now. They see it as business. They no longer see it as service, call to service. They no longer see it as an opportunity to return good for the greater majority. In 2018, I was in Malaysia. Malaysia, who came and borrowed palm nuts from us. Let me tell you, if we harness our palm produce, we'll make more money than we make from crude oil. I tell you that. If we harness our cashew, like we used to have Oye cashew industry, where is that Oye cashew industry? You should have put us on the world map, arising from the end products and byproducts from cashew. We should be somewhere else with just cashew. We should be somewhere else with just our bitter leaf. Bitter leaf. We should be somewhere with just that. We should be somewhere with our agara. We should be somewhere with pepper. But we no longer cherish wealth that trickle in. That is it. That is where our problem lies. We have abandoned who we are to become people who see themselves that they are born to lead. We are born to serve. And when you serve, you make wealth in return for service. That is it. We were not poor when we were looking at leadership as service. That is when we got our university. That was when we got our NTA. That was when we got our hotel presidential. That was when we got a number of things. Down to 1979 to 83, when Jim Wobodo was there. That was when we got our Ada rice. That was when we got our flour mills. That was when we got vegetable oil natch. That was when we got our Turner's Asbestos Semene. That was when we got our Protea hotel, sorry, not Protea, Nikelek. That was when we got our Ikenga hotels. So if you move from there, that was when we got our Ada rice. And do you know what it meant when Ada rice was in full function? It was an opportunity for every rice farmer, from Enugu to Moaka to Nome to Nkerefi, down to any part of the southeastern Nigeria that we are cultivating rice. That was an opportunity for buy-ups. We get our agriculture, people go and buy it. That was even an opportunity to stabilize our agriculture. If we don't get our agriculture well, there is nowhere we are going to. So we have a number of problems that are solvable.
I like what you just said, are solvable.
They are solvable.
So, different leaders have come on board. You mentioned Jim Wobodo, and in the same breath, you mentioned some of the industries he established. After Jim Wobodo, several other governors came up in Enugu State, the old Anambra, the new Anambra, and the Enugu State, and then in other parts of the southeast. Is leadership the problem?
Yeah.
Or is leadership the solution? I don't want you to look at leadership beyond what you have said. Leadership to make wealth and leadership for service. So is leadership the problem?
Yeah, when you ask me, I will tell you that leadership is the problem. And most often, my nature, I'm not somebody who is moved by political speeches. I'm somebody who is moved by political actions. Doing the talk, that is when I am moved. You know, inordinately, I just mentioned Jim Wobodo because what he did were obvious. After him, with due respect to every other governor that had come and gone, the next person I'm seeing, if he continues, is Nampi Tamba. Why am I saying that? It's so obvious. Somebody started Enugu International Conference Center. It was abandoned over the years.
Okay.
Now, that international center is coming up. That is leadership. That is service. You will have direct employment and consequential employments because of just international airports. Hotel Presidential was abandoned. Hotel Presidential is now coming up under Pitamba. With due respect, some people might get angry. But I am not speaking about Pitamba because I am Igwe in Enugu. I'm speaking about Pitamba because of what I see he is doing. Hotel Presidential is coming up with the consequential employments that will follow it. the opportunities it will create. He is now opening up all the roads. Are you aware that if Enugu Nsukka is dualized, we are going to decongest Enugu? If we have a dual carriage between Enugu, Opi, and Nsukka, somebody can comfortably come to work on it in Enugu from Nsukka. It will reduce the distance between Nsukka and Enugu with up to 1 to 2 hours. Or even less than 1 hour, you can do Nsukka in less than 1 hour. Ordinarily, if the road is there, Nsukka Enugu is 1 hour. Then you can see that somebody will come from Nsukka to Enugu if that road is dualized in less than 30 minutes. It's a job that has to be clapped for. That is what we are talking about. All the rural areas, he is now opening them up. He has flagged off the roads. You now see that somebody can come to work from Oboka, Apofa, Amagunze, Tabane in less than 30 minutes. That is service. You know, if he sets the pace and the people copy him and incrementally we do it that way, then you see us become what we think we can. So, when people begin to see leadership as job, you are now applying for job. Somebody who is applying for job is applying for source of living. Somebody who is applying for leadership as service is wanting to serve people. But eventually, what many fail to understand is that when you serve, you don't die of hunger. When you serve, you pave a better way for the children of tomorrow. When you make today better, then you sleep well tomorrow. People have forgotten that if you want to stay under a shade tomorrow, you have to plant the tree today. That is it.
So, given the present situation, we are looking at the hub. We're saying adapting the phrase of a Silicon Valley type of hub in the Southeast. Why is it that over time, there's something you said, that you have people who are more educated than M.I. Power, Michael Okpara, and yet we have schools that are dilapidated, not functioning.
Yeah.
We have schools that the educational system is not up to par. Let me use another word. It's not in terms of best practices anyway. When would traditional rulers like yourself in the Southeast come together and begin to speak truth to power to the leaders, whether they are there to serve or they are there to make profit?
Yeah.
Because, Your Royal Highness, without traditional rulers, majority of those who are in power today will not get there. So when do we start speaking to them to understand that service creates a better tomorrow?
Okay, thank you. The time is now. Well, let me tell you this one thing I fear. And I fear it seriously. It's education without integrity. Integrity without education is weak. Integrity without education. But education without integrity is the most dangerous thing you can fear on earth. I said it, we have better educated persons today. But a number of us, majority, lack integrity. And because of education without integrity, you will see a traditional ruler speak the truth. That educated without integrity will not say, oh, you have spoken the truth, without fixing, without looking at the slant of the traditional ruler's speech. that traditional ruler is removed. And most unfortunately, many of the traditional rulers are also on that seat as a job. They are there as an opportunity to be in business. Most of us are also not there for service to the people. And when you see that position as a job, you will be circumspect of what to say so that you are not removed. So, but if we have a law, that is the protection. If we have a law that will make it more stringent, much more difficult to remove a traditional ruler duly elected or selected, depending on the constitution or tradition of the people. So it becomes so difficult to remove him. A number of persons also can begin to say the truth. That is one. Also, having mentioned education, because that is the springboard for a better tomorrow, I also encourage the governor of Enugu State to go ahead and complete his ideology about smart schools. Because when we get it better from the basics or from the basis, our tomorrow will be better. At a time when he adopted the word, I'm sorry, I don't know why I am moved to speak this way. When he adopted the word, tomorrow is here, I was like, let it not be that we are going to consume our tomorrow today. But I am beginning to see that tomorrow is here is that he has intention that we plant a tree today for a shade we will stay under tomorrow. Yes. Does he make mistake? He makes mistakes. Like any one of us could make mistake. But what is the propellant for that mistake? Ambition to do well. So the mistake will be pardoned. Now, any development that will yield a better tomorrow will be disruptive. Mark the word disruptive, not destructive. Certain things will have to be disrupted. What I don't really cherish about that is that it shouldn't be all at the same time. Pick one, face it, give us the prototype of what you want to replicate in many places. We will hunger for it. People will not talk. Assuming that from Osisa Tech up to Chris Chemist, that he faced it, disrupted services, in less than 1 year fixes this thing, and everybody sees a replacement of what was destroyed. We would have seen that it is better. Then we will call for it to happen immediately in Gariki. Nobody will complain. We'll call for it to immediately happen in Ababa. Nobody will complain. We'll call for it to immediately happen in Nsukka. But he didn't do it that way, and a number of persons are complaining. But for me, I'm beginning to see that if the intentions are manifested, Enugu might be a better place. That is one. Two, as we talk about leadership, we talk about followership. Because once you're elected, look at it, I was elected Igwe, not even a political position. If I tell you what I welcome on daily basis, I began to wonder. The person you see is a retired person. Oh. That you have made me Igwe hasn't added anything to the rate of income I have. Now, I use it to look at what happens to politicians once you're elected. A number of too many hangers-on will want to be around you. But I still encourage all of us. Let us be courageous and accept what we can possibly do. Don't let people overstretch you, so that we have enough to make the Southeast the Silicon Valley in Nigeria, so that those people who play Igbophobia, because the problem we have is Igbophobia, I'm sure of that. It's Igbophobia. And Nigerians should change and think better about it. Igbophobia is not helping anybody in Nigeria. The Igbo man, I repeat it anyway, and I stand to be controverted. The Igbo man is the only true Nigerian. And if you ask me why and how, I'll tell you. The Igbo man goes to Maiduguri, surveys Maiduguri, harnesses the resources available in Maiduguri, and takes Maiduguri as his home. Builds a better house in Maiduguri without even building one in his hometown, Igbo. But that attracts envy. He goes to Kaduna, he replicates the same thing. He goes to anywhere. Okay, let me tell you. I was in Cuba in 2012. And of course, you know that Cuba is a communist nation. Mm-hmm. And there were a number of Igbo men there doing businesses. Yes. They harnessed that opportunity that what they used to do their communism must be provided by somebody. They were doing their businesses. And each time I traveled out, I used to showcase Igbo dressing. I was walking along the streets, and some students ran. Ah, you must be an Igbo man. Yes, what have you come for? We were there for International Labour May Day celebration in 2012. We began to speak our Igbo, and I began to ask. Their parents were living there, and they were in school in there. And I began to wonder, Igbo man, capitalistic in nature,
in a communist
environment, in a communist world, yet he was surviving there. That is the Igbo man. He has seen that place as his home.
I wonder why.
That is it. So, which other tribe in Nigeria does it?
I like that analogy, but don't forget, if the South is a hub, why is it that we shine outside? The Igbo man shines outside. And then back home, we are where we are. Because if Aba, Onitsha, Nnewi, Enugu, Abakaliki, Umuahia, Owerri must all stand tall, then we need to do the same thing. We need to bring our innovation home.
Okay.
We need to ensure that this becomes a hub of innovation and industrial parks.
Yeah.
Why are we living it?
We are not living it. We are not living it. The Igbo nation is so populous. Those things we are doing here, don't be surprised that most of the shoes you see in the market today, stamped Italian, are made in Aba. Don't be surprised to find out that a number of packaged shirts, good trousers, are made in Aba and stamped. It could be made in Italy, it could be made in any other place.
One of the major brands.
But then the production is done in Aba.
But
so let me tell you this.
Just
so
a quick
those services we are rendering, which we have made here a hub, if they don't want it there, that is when I told you I want an ideological Biafra, not geographical Biafra we can get by fighting and shooting. Bring it here, let them come to look for it here. because eventually they must come to look for it.
Remember, you will remember that even there were some commercials in those days of Taiwan, where you see, there was one that I was very familiar with. They were trying, it was raining and somebody was trying to open an umbrella and it couldn't open. I said, oh no, Taiwan. But today, if you have product from Taiwan, you rate them as high as any other place.
Yeah.
So my thought when you were saying quality shoes are made in Aba, but we lose our identity by putting made in Italy.
Yes.
What stops us?
Yeah, let me tell you this, why it is like that. I'm beginning to tell even our political office holders, when they become public office holders, the same shoe, the same clothing, he would simply have walked down to Aba. He want to enter plane to go and buy it from London. And this is the same materials made in Aba and exported to our brothers and sisters in Italy, in London, in UK, in everywhere. Then they will enter plane. Because if you stamp it Aba, the mental picture is that our people being exotic in nature will not want to buy it. They want it to come from abroad. But I'm telling our people, it's a deceit on our side. Keep stamping it Aba. Keep stamping it Aba. If they see it consistently made in Aba and servicing them, they will eventually come back for it. Look at Innoson. Innoson Motorcycle, from Innoson Motorcycle to Innoson Vehicle now.
And several brands.
And several brands. That is when we begin to make it.
So
our ideology, that is what I want us to change.
yes,
Our ideology.
are we just changing the ideology, or we are going to also change the narrative concerning how we think concerning our product? You know, you said it's easy for them to board a flight to go outside the country.
For exotic reasons. Not that
Yeah.
it's easy. It's easier to go and buy it from Aba. But for exotic reasons, do you know from where this my watch? Do you know where it's coming from? This is from London. This watch, I bought it when I was in Heathrow Airport. This watch, I bought it when I landed at John Kennedy, this and that. Do you know that I bought this thing while I was in international conference in Germany? Exotic reasons. Not that it's easier. That is the problem. And except we change. Let me tell you this. I was one person who was against the idea of rebranding Nigeria.
Dora.
Our sister was the flagship. He was the person who started the rebranding Nigeria. But I quarreled with it. Why? It's our brand, our problem. Brand has to do with a name. Is Nigeria our problem as our brand? And it's because we didn't define our problem well, we went to launch it outside. Our problem is orientation. And instead of rebranding Nigeria, it would have been reorientating Nigeria. If we change our orientation, people will say we have changed. We don't need to tell people that we have changed. They want to see it. That is why I told you when we were starting that I am usually not moved by political speeches. I am moved by political actions. Change the attitude. Nigeria will be better. Have we rebranded Nigeria? We have not changed the name. I believe that Ghana saw a problem with Gold Coast and they rebranded and became Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire saw a problem with Ivory Coast and they changed to Cote d'Ivoire. We have rebranded for several years and still our brand is our brand. Have we changed? What we need is reorientation. And our NOA, the National Orientation Agency, should step up. Those of us in the media, because you may not know that I'm your professional colleague, I'm a media person. We should step up action. We should be in the vanguard of holding the political office holders accountable and responsible to the people. But of course, it appears to me that the hunter is may be as corrupt as the hunted.
Well, I'm looking at the time and I'm saying, what is the difficulty in all of us, whether it's the traditional rulers, whether it's the political leaders, whether they're just leaders of thought, coming together to say, Ndibo, it's time for us not just to think of reorientation, but to begin practically to put in place what we need to raise the level of innovation and industrial parks in the Southeast.
Yeah.
What would it take?
It takes orientation and reorientation. You know, there is a spirit that controls the mind these days, and that is the spirit of materialism. Everybody wants to make wealth from every opportunity. It doesn't work like that. We have to change our orientation and begin to see leadership as service. We must go beyond Ndibo talking and get into action. If you want to buy made in Enugu, buy made in Aba, buy made in Nnewi. Like the example I gave you, that spare part that was fabricated and fixed to my car didn't give me wahala again until I sold out that car. It's possible. It's doable. Let us stop talking and get into action. If you want to buy made in Aba. If you want to buy made in Umuahia. If you want to buy made in Onitsha. If you want to buy made in Nnewi. If you want to buy made in Ogbete. If you want to buy made in Abakaliki. If you want to buy made in Afikpo. That is it.
So that's the easiest way to
If we can buy made in Afikpo, let me not just be selfish. We can buy made in Meduguri, made in Kaduna, made in Abuja, made in Lagos. Let us stop deceiving ourselves.
So, thank you very much, Igwe Ezudo III of Ogwaji, Igwe Chinedu Nwobodo. It's my pleasure, sir, for bringing you on to Southeast.
Thank you.
And I think it's time for the Southeast to stop talking and take action.
Take action.
And that's where we call it a wrap for today's edition of Southeast News. Definitely, we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, Barrick Mwado is my name. Bye-bye.
Thank you.